Welcome back to the CasterMuse Narak StarLeague Season 7. Today we're going to be going through the round of 32 Group C. This is a fantastic group. I'm very, very excited about it because it has two of my personally favorite Terrans to watch. We have Ample and Mihu. They'll be facing off in our first match. Of course, Ample, someone who's been in ASL and KSL and all that multiple times. I think he's playing fantastically lately. Might be one of the favorites of this tournament. And Mihu, you know, this guy is the best player that is not Korean. He is a great Chinese Terran. He has amazing matches against all the top pros. And yeah, I could see him getting very deep this season as well, but it's not an easy group. 815 is one of the biggest veterans, one of the older players that's still playing at around that ASL level. We've seen him in ASL multiple times. He's very cheesy, very aggressive, and is going to be dangerous. And then we have Promise, who's going to be a big, big underdog. He's a very well-known amateur Protoss, but I would say a level below these other three, right? So not sure exactly what is going to happen in this group, but my prediction is for these two Terran players to advance. Let's see. Let's get into it. Our first game going to be starting now. It is going to be Mihu down here in the bottom left of Radion. And in the top left, we have Ample. Guys, I want to thank you for checking out ArtosisCasts, for being excited about all the content. The CNSL specifically is something that I have been so excited about. I've had so much fun casting. I don't know. This is the most fun I've had, I think, on the channel. Right? How long has the channel been around, ArtosisCasts? Like a couple years, I guess. Maybe a little bit longer even. But this is like this season of CNSL. It's such a sick set of groups. I feel like I'm more into Brood War than I ever have been, and just pumped each day to be casting these games. So yeah, I'm glad that you guys have been so supportive and checking it out all the time. So thank you very, very much. Now, talking about this particular matchup, this is a funny one. Okay, a few things. First off, Mihu generally doesn't go Vulture early. Okay, Mihu does like anti-Vulture builds, if that makes sense. You know, I've seen a pretty darn good amount of Mihu TVTs, and I feel like normally he does some sort of expansion into Goliath. Like, you know, you open Vultures obviously because you have to, and then he kind of gets into Goliaths, and then he might go like maybe Mines, maybe Forfect. You know, there's a lot of bending around you have to do in Terran versus Terran because there's like a bunch of little tiny rock, paper, scissors scenarios at the beginning of the game. But I feel like he just tries to get a high-quality mid-game army as quickly as possible. Ample is not someone I think of when I think of Terran versus Terran. I honestly am having a hard time remembering Ample's style TVT. I feel like most of the games of his that pop up that are high level have been Terran versus Protoss, and not anywhere near as many Terran versus Terran. And of course his TVZ, you know, he was called like the Whirlwind Terran or whatever because he does crazy stim rushes and literally will stim twice across the map to get there before your Sunkens are ready. Definitely plays a risky, aggressive style. Here we can see that he's actually going for a gasless expansion, and Mihu's going to scout that first. So this gives Mihu a ton of options. A ton of options. He started his first factory. Does he continue to mine gas? Okay. He's deciding that he is not going to rush this, almost certainly. But there's a lot of ways that you can play this when you scout gasless expansion first, okay? You can make Marines and send them. You can see he's harassing here. He's just forcing units to come down. Like, you don't need to go on the base to scout. As soon as you see the command center, you know basically everything that's going to happen. That you could scout in the main base before losing that SCV. But, you know, you have a lot of options. It's like, okay, do you try to pressure with some early Marines? Do you go for like a 1 base tank push? Do you go for like a 2 base Vulture drop? Do you go for a mass Vulture here? Do you go for a hidden 2-port Wraith here? Right? There's a lot of options. And here you can see that Mihu has decided, okay, we're going to expand quickly. And he gets the add-on right away. Okay, so already some interesting choices. First off, I like the expansion quickly. You can do quick pushes against this type of play. But this map in particular, if you try something like a 2-factory siege tank push, let me show you something. Okay, so notice how this is a very thin, very long area. Okay, if you put siege tanks here as ample, they reach to here. So if you want to push this, your tanks have to be in a line here. It's extremely hard to win the game with a tank push here. If this was a more wide open area, because think about it, right? Like you can have one tank here, one tank here. You can't get them in any sort of line. Let's say this area was open, tank here, tank here, tank here. Oh, okay. You're not going to be able to really break that. But with tanks in a straight line, much, much harder to have a push that's going to be 100% successful. It's hard to get in there to repair. It's hard to get in there to block SCVs from hitting your tanks. So I like that Mihu on this particular map chooses not to do any sort of rush. Now, what Mihu is doing is getting mines quickly. With this, he'll get 3 to 4 vultures. And what the mines are going to do is give him intel as to where Ample is going, right? So he'll probably put mines in places like here, 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 up here at this expansion, maybe some more down here. So the mines are just giving you a lot of intel. From here, like, you just kind of figure out what they're doing. Notice how he's going for the armory. Notice how he's not going like mass vulture or anything. He has 3 vultures before switching over to siege tank. And of course his barracks flying through the base. I think he actually didn't see this starport. It's kind of well hidden, and he will see it on the way back, but he already knows that it's starport because you have more money than one factory at this time. So like the only other thing could be a factory down here, and that would be such terrible placement. You just kind of assume that this is going to be starport, and he sees the starport on the way out. So notice he's laying mines here on the expansion. He actually puts a lot out front. So this is more for a slowing effect. Now he's going to run by. This is a great read. There's only 2 Marines in there, so he's going to run in, sack 1 vulture only, and get 2 SCVs, and that's like super totally worth it. So taking a look at this now that the command center is done, what advantage does Ample have? Well, Ample has the bunker. This is actually very useful in the early game, but also he's only up 2 SCVs. So right now, I feel like already it's very close to even, despite the very fast expansion. And like for me personally, it's a lot of Terran versus Terran is a stylistic choice, like how you want to play it. And Mihu is not that much of a starport guy, so not surprised to see this. He's popping out his Goliaths before the Wraith even gets there. The Wraith's just going to come in for a scout. He's going to see, oh, okay, you're already getting the Academy. You know, these are all things that you need to do as Mihu. Oh my God, he just barely gets it out. These are all things that you need to do as Mihu because you don't know at this point if he's going to go Cloak. Now, there is a second Wraith on the way. I think he'll stop Wraith production there, and I think he'll just go 5 factory. Yeah, that seems to be what we're seeing here. Now, when you open like this against something like this type of build almost always goes into 5 factory. Sometimes it goes Cloaked Wraith, but if you counter it this well, like Mihu has, it is super common to go into 5 factory. So what it'll be is 2 factory siege tank, 3 factory vulture coming out for Ample, and he's going to want to regain map control. He's going to want to clear this out pretty quickly. He's going to want to push through. Notice how Mihu brings up tanks and sieges. He has these mines in place. This is what his plan was to bring up this light contain. And look, he's already dealt damage to a tank. The mines bought him time. Like if these mines weren't here, if there were only 2, he probably could have just pulled a couple SCVs, come out here and busted everything. But the mines that Mihu laid up, when I said that I thought they'd be spread everywhere, a lot of Pro-Terrans do that. Mihu has instead decided he was going to utilize that to help set up a containment. He has the factory up. He's going to have to get Goliath range. In fact, he's already getting Goliath range. He's going up to 4 factory. And just to make this like really clear, right? If you go 3 factory against this, you might get rolled over and they'll definitely get map control. 4 factory and you're the one in siege mode, that's like exactly what you need to hold on. And like I was mentioning before, the Goliath range, important here because you need to punish sloppy Wraith usage. The Wraith siege tank technically beats out Barracks siege tank Goliath. Okay, if you control it perfectly. Like you have, like the anti-ground range of the tank is a little bit more than the anti-air range of the Goliath. So the Wraith can actually help you to get that extra vision because, of course, tanks shoot further than they see. Sorry if I'm flooding you with information. I don't get to cast a lot of Terran versus Terrans and it's very exciting. All right, so you can see Ample right now. He's setting up this line. He's probably going to want to scan to make sure he has all the mines out of here, because that can be dangerous as you move forward. But look at this siege tank line. Very, very scary. In the meantime, Ample is setting up a vulture drop. This is a really good play for him right now to kind of see where he's at, because Mihu is rallying all of his units down. This is something you have to be careful about. There is a missile turret here. There is a missile turret here and one here. So really well-placed missile turrets, but it's weird to see missile turrets on 2 base. Generally in TVT, you want to avoid making missile turrets until 4 bases if you can, because it just, like, this is the amount he's spent on missile turrets is more than the cost of a command center, right? So, like, you're sacrificing things to get these turrets up, but they're in good places, and he has a containment up, so it makes sense in this situation. Now, the vulture drop comes in, he drops 1 out. The missile turret is actually wrecking him, and there's already 2 vultures here. So this was perfectly timed from Mihu, either through luck or Gosu-ness. All right, so there's a second dropship out. He's bringing his first dropship back, a third dropship on the way. So he's definitely focusing on trying to get drops to do something for him here to get out of this containment. This is dastardly, man. 6 tanks in siege mode is very messy to break. Now, I think technically you can break it as Ample. He's got a lot of vultures. You're gonna have to move your tanks, kind of split them a little bit and let the, oh no, that's not the way. And see, he didn't pre-scan, okay? This is why I was saying you needed to pre-scan, because if you scan for that vision, you can see they targeted the mines first. So that was definitely a bit of a mistake. Mihu getting a better engage here than he should. There were enough units to properly break this, but Ample didn't come out correctly. And it's like, look at how low a lot of these tanks are. We had like 4 tanks there at the end that were 1 hit of anything away from death. So that was sloppy from Ample. For sure sloppy. Mihu has to be very happy with this situation. Again, he should have scanned the mines, split the tanks, brought the vultures out to tank, and then move forward and sieged. And if he had done all that, I think this would be clean. He probably would have lost a little bit more than you see here, but there'd be nothing left here. So that is a bit of a mistake from Ample. Ample has gotten up to 3 dropships, so that's a little bit deadly. 3 dropships is where you start to get insane damage out of your drops. Right now, Mihu is making a 3rd command center. He has good turrets up. A little scan comes down. He's flying over mines. Look at this. He's going to fly by an engineering bay. There's so much information here for Mihu as to where Ample's at. Looks like he's... Oh! I like this move a lot. Ample unloads near that 3rd base location. He's going to run in here, lay some mines. If he clears that turret, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for Mihu to break this spot. I don't know. Okay, so Mihu actually brings some of his rallied units back here while he brings his reinforcements up to try to break this. Is he going to break it efficiently? It does not look that way. It looks like Ample going to take the better engage right here. And still has 3 tanks left over. Don't forget, he's still got his dropship. So, like, he can come out, drop the same location again. He can come out, drop a new location. He's dealing a lot of damage in this base. So you can see Mihu's supply is falling. He's actually got more SCVs right now. Okay, cool. But Ample's plenty on 2 base. Oh, man. You can see, like, anytime there's mines, the tanks target them so quickly. That is a problem. Now, more dropships coming in. He's going to drop on top of these tanks of Mihu. And I tell you, it's like Mihu ended up having the better opening, and Ample had some sloppiness going on. But when you look at this, like, Mihu has 1 weak area, and it's being punished very, very quickly. This is part of the reason why you don't see contains this quickly in these types of situations. And that's why I was talking about putting the mines all over. Because normally, like, if you had Light playing here against Ample, he would have just roamed around and made sure that Ample stayed in his area, but not with a solid containment. Right? That's kind of a difference. And the thing is, you can play it however you want. You can see that Mihu was actually very close to maybe even, like, if he had blocked the drop that sieged here, he would be so far ahead right now, the game would be very close to over. But now we actually have a game with a lot of play on both sides. So let's see what Ample is able to do. He brings out his 3 dropships once again, re-sieging this area. And one thing I want to mention about these, right? Like, it looks like we are going to have Mihu stabilized, but look at the amount of units he's keeping at home. The 3 dropships the next time should just drop on this. Because he has been focusing down here and being somewhat cost efficient and forcing defense, This is now the time where Ample can easily break out because there hasn't been reinforcements up here. This is only 5 siege tanks. This is very easy to break. If he leads with his vultures, he'll break through this in a matter of seconds. Gets a little bit sloppy there as well. You can see Mihu, a ton of units at home here, starting to push up. All right, he's... I want to see him break this. Like, you have all these vultures. It makes sense. Now, Mihu coming up with his siege tanks where, you know, there's some mines laid here to slow them down. He's got to get his siege tanks in position. Oh, my God, he walks into some of the mines Mihu left there earlier. This is a disaster right now for Ample. His gas is going to be something that is under siege. There's no defense for that. So if Mihu simply floats this to the north, just to there, the gas dies. And then we're still on 2 gas for Ample. He doesn't want more vultures. He needs more tanks. He needs more drop ships, right? He needs stuff like that. He needs to continue his upgrades forward. Mihu has +2 on the way. I don't believe we have a science facility for Ample. Yeah, we do not. So, like, that's very important. You can see he dropped some tanks here. He wants to make sure that he can defend it. But, yeah, if he just targets down here, this is going to be really rough. There's just so many units here for Mihu right now. Mihu has moved this back, by the way. Look at this. He lets the turret lead and gets into a better arc. So the very breakable 5 tanks here becomes like almost twice as strong when you move it back into a position like this. Really good repositioning from Mihu. So now Mihu has 2 kind of containments. This is a containment / push. This is a containment. Look at this. He's coming up here, finding this base of Ample, laying mines all down. He has a turret in there. You lay the mines and they can't come in to defend it because they have to drop on top of mines. Look at this. Bam. Everything's going to die. Oh man, Mihu just with some very good fundamental play, really knowing what he wants to get done. And you can see that just about everything gets blown up there for Ample. If Mihu just sends a few more units, he has all these mines, he can do something like siege up here and attack this command center. Dude, TVT is a beautiful matchup. Don't ever tell me otherwise. This is awesome to see right now. Now, let's take a look as well. Well, this battle is the most important thing going on, so we'll stay here for a moment. And you can see, right, all these mines being up there. It's just so hard to save a base in this type of situation. Ample is trying his best. He's ferrying units over left and right. Ooh, nice shot there. This tank's so low. Okay, finally does get it. Has to lift his command center. He needs to break this still. We need to see more dropships out. This was a lost opportunity for Mihu. If he had focused on getting rid of this gas, and like as soon as you kill the gas, it's so hard to get it back up. When you're attacking the gas, they can repair it, right? So if he had focused a little harder on that, we couldn't have the dropship production along with 3 factory siege tank because he'd only be on 2 gases, right? So it feels like losing out on that opportunity is a big problem here for Ample. You see Ample now. Oh, man, beautiful targeting there from Mihu. He's still struggling to get this base up. In the meantime, Mihu is taking his 4th. He has SCVs down here. He's getting ready to take the other bases as well. Once you start to get this type of position, you're kind of like keeping your opponent on his back foot. And especially after you have 4 bases up in mining, it's important to just make command centers everywhere. That's kind of like considered the quote-unquote right way to play. Is it's like, okay, oh man, this is so brutal. But yeah, once you have 4 bases up, your income is so insane that you can just expand everywhere in Terran versus Terran, right? It's not like Terran versus Protoss where you're constantly like having to spend on vultures and stuff like that. In TVT, you get up to a certain supply and your army's kind of invincible. So right now, Mihu pushing super hard up the center, going for that 12 o'clock base. Still nothing happening over there. This base is gone. You can't save it anymore. Ample with 4 dropships. 4 dropships is awesome, but he's lost this base. So now Mihu has an entire base advantage. He's getting ready for the other bases. You're going to have to really think about what you want to do with these dropships. I think the only way for Ample to realistically win would either be a really big drop in the main that does a ton of damage, or you ferry units over to here so that you can take another area and you turn it into a very, very long, I'm talking 45-minute plus game. Because you're just, look at this. You're not breaking this stuff. There's turrets everywhere. There's siege tanks in siege mode with +2 attack everywhere. Ample has +1. Ample's in an incredible amount of trouble. Ooh, that's a very hurt one right there. Does he even have he doesn't even have a single Goliath in here. Oh man. Mihu crushing face right now. And look at this. He has Goliaths there as well. So Ample did bring his dropships over here. Whether that was to expand onto this side or to try to maybe get dropships down here to deny these bases. I mean, either move is pretty good. But he does, yeah, see, okay. We see exactly what's going on. Now, this I don't like. You have to put him on high ground because you can't reinforce this. This is not enough. If Mihu just brings all of his units and attack moves, this dies. So I feel like this was a mistake there by Ample. Ample does have a lot of units here. Looks like he wants to break this area. We have to zoom out because 2 fights right now. Mihu breaking the right. Ample breaking the left. It looks like we're going to have all of these tanks killed on both sides, and then we can meet in the center. So Mihu comes forward, starts sieging up. He's going to just obliterate their leftover vultures here. Don't forget he has a bunch of tanks up here as well. Ample's trying to break that, but he's going to lose a ton of units. He's not going to quite break this. Definitely not efficiently, at least. There are more dropships coming out. Ample's trying to make that 4th command center, but there's so few units left over. You can see the supply differential. Mihu up a good 23 SCVs, up 45 supply or so overall. Ample unable to do very much from here. This was an awesome game. This was an awesome game, but we are right at the end of it now. Not very much left that you can do at this point for Ample. He's going to float over the command center. He has this nice siege line. All you have to do is break this one time, and that's not that hard. He has a lot, right? So once Mihu kind of gets a couple rounds out, all he needs to do is like unsiege these, just make like 3 groups and attack move, and you'll just smash it. It won't even be close. But right now, you know, Ample is trying some other moves. He's bringing 3 dropships over here. I think he has realized that it's super important to try to take this base. It definitely is. He's kind of siege tank pushing here. This is, I would definitely not say that that is a correct move. It's good to take a bit more room so you can put more siege tanks in here, but he doesn't have an army that can trade at all right now. He needs to sit in the most cost-efficient place he possibly can. Now, this is super greedy, and, you know, Ample knows he's really far behind, so I don't mind him trying to be super greedy, but, like, if you made only siege tanks, like, I would stop making vultures at this point, siege tank turret, and just line them up. If you can hold on through a couple attacks, maybe you start to come back. But this just does not look likely. Mihu right now, 2-1 upgrades. He has +3 on the way. We have 2-0 here for Ample. Not a big difference between that. Armor upgrades don't really mean anything in tank versus tank. They do in some other situations. It's worth to get the upgrades. But in tank versus tank, like Ample should just sit on +2 for the rest of the game. He doesn't have the money to spend on other things. Now, here we go. This is what I was talking about before. Unsiege, go forward. He starts to break through here. And if he just gets anything edging up to hit this command center, that's where it becomes pretty unwinnable here for Ample. Ample brings out a couple dropships. He's going to try to ferry some tanks up here. Vulture's coming up to ruin his day as well. He's got some mines up here. And Ample does get a couple tanks, so maybe he continues to hold on a little bit. You can see the crazy cost efficiency that you get with those +2 siege tanks. But Mihu has this space. He has this space. He can do things like throw down 10 starports right now. I'm not even joking. That's actually a very good move in a situation like this, where your opponent is using dropships and you have like a massive siege tank contain. Generally, the best move is to finish them with air. But you can just like go dropships. You can just go ground army and make sure you have enough missile turrets up and stuff, right? But right now, it's dropships are the only choice for Ample. There's nothing else. He needs to build his tank count. He needs to have enough dropships to get stuff around the map. And he needs to make sure he doesn't lose this space, and can take these 2. If he can do all of that, the game can continue. But Mihu with so many units right now, Mihu just, you know, running into this brick wall of tanks on the high ground. But he's got so much more. He's got such a bigger economy. Look at this 82 SCVs, absolute madness. He's cut off all ground. In fact, there's like nothing here. You could cut into this area at this point as Mihu as well. He's got a lot of options as to where he can go with this. Ample, I mean, he's making a good defense as he builds up that siege tank count. Look, here's one thing. You see this huge differential in supply. It's not as bad as it looks in some ways because he has like no workers, right? He's down 40 there. So think of the supply. It's closer to 156 against 184 for the feeling of army against army. Okay, it's an important thing to think about because as you get up to like, oh, well, we have this. Yeah, he's going to kill this. Like I said, you have to keep this alive. But what I was going to say is as you get that siege tank count up, like your cost efficiency goes through the roof. 150 can hold off 200 if it's mostly siege tanks. So anyways, he drops here. This is getting really bad. We're down into the 30s for SCVs. Ample drops on top trying to clear this. He's not going to be able to clear it, just barely. Or maybe he'll just barely clear it. It's very, very close. 3 more tanks will come up, so he should be able to re-hold that position. But now we're I mean, this is... I think this is the point of no return. How do you ever hold on? And Mihu, again, he can add starports if he wants. He can go drop ships. The world is his oyster. He can just add a ton of factories somewhere and just like ape his way through. Just throw units into his opponent's meat grinder until he's dead. Choke out the meat grinder. You know? What a game. What a first game. And how exciting as well. Ample has been playing very well lately. Had a great ASL run in Season 16. You know, he's been doing very well in the KCM Race Survival Series. There's just... It's great to see Mihu come in and win. GG! On to game number 2. So down here in the bottom right in match number 2, we have our Protoss player Promise. In my opinion, the underdog of this group. Up in the top left, we have 815. This guy, yeah, kind of a wild card in the group. It's really hard to say what he's going to do. You know, a lot of his builds do end up being like kind of risky. And it's like, okay, well, if he catches you, you're dead. And that can be really good in best of 1. Like, he's a scary best of 1 player. But I feel like I've seen so few games of 815 doing solid macro against other pros. Yeah, makes me a bit, I'm just questioning, like, how is this going to go, right? Like, does he do something crazy, or does he do like a Ling all in or something, can Promise just hold it? And then, you know, is some of these crazy builds, if you do them and your opponent just holds, like if they just macro steadily, that's going to be a victory a lot of the time. So anyways, we'll see. We'll see. We are on Radeon here once again, of course. Promise looking like he wants to go for a gateway expand. Or no, this could be a forge. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Gateway expand. Starts to send that probe out, and it is cross spawn, so the gateway expansion not really likely to do too much damage here. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have like an 11 or 12 hatch coming up here from 815. And yeah, oh, okay, that was good. The reason why you bring a probe out and like go somewhere like this is because the proper scout pattern for Zerg is to just send the Overlord straight across, right? So you check if the Overlord's there. He has that timed out. He actually didn't go far enough back. It seems like 815's Overlord would have been slightly further back than what he could have seen. So even if 815 was down here, Promise messed that up. A little thing he's going to need to fix. Anyways, he does get up here and find 815 right away. So he's going to see, oh, okay, hatchery first. No big worry. He's going to fake a cannon rush here. He shows the hatchery with the probe going back. He doesn't even make the pylon, though. As the drone comes out, you already know that it's not a cannon rush because no pylon has been started. So... you know, he's just going to go towards that third base, which makes sense. The probe has already gotten some hits on the drone. So, got to be careful about that, right? Like, the probe could follow and continue to deny that hatchery. Doesn't do it this time, but 815, just kind of going out in an interesting pattern here. I think he's just going back towards this third base location. The other drone coming out and making sure that the probe is chasing it instead of blocking the third. Right, that's what that was. He kind of makes him think that, like, oh, maybe that drone went to scout or something. First Zealot coming up, and it is going towards that third base, and he's checking the other possible third base with his probe, so he sees it's not there. He's going to definitely assume that it is here, and he's going to assume correctly. 2 Zealots going across the map. Nexus before that third Zealot here for Promise. And we'll see how quickly he wants to get his Forge. It looks like he is going to go Forge right away. Doesn't have a lot of intel on what's going on. I do feel like he could go gas first, but, you know, whatever. He's going to get his Forge. Better safe than sorry, right? If you're not entirely sure, it's just better to get the defensive structures up, because the difference between optimizing slightly better and losing the game is so significant. And it's so funny when you see pros actually optimize in such a way where it's like, well, this is going to give me a small advantage, and then they die to something that they weren't sure of. It's like, well, that's... I mean, no matter how much theory you put into this, statistically, that's a pretty bad call. Like, building your image over time, maybe you can make an argument for that, but, like, yeah, it's something you should probably not do. Now, that was some pretty good micro from Promise. He was trying to target different probes with the different Zerglings with the probe so that he could two-shot with Zealots. Trade's okay-ish. In the meantime, has his defense at home, has that cannon on the way. Gas is up. Cybernetics Core about halfway done. 815 going straight into layer. So I think we might just see a pretty standard game here at 815. I don't know if he's going to go Spire or he's going to go for like Hydralisk Den with quicker Overlord speed. It's a little bit hard to say. Not really sure which his style is. I feel like most 815 games are like Ling All-Ins or 3-Hatch Hydra. Okay, so speed gets started. That tells us it's going to be a Spire. You're not going to go speed into, you know, quick Hydras. You're generally not. I mean, we'll see. He can do whatever he wants, right? Stargate in the main base. Second gas getting started. Everything looking pretty solid as far as defense. A really good canvassing of the map. If we zoom out for a minute, you can see all these Zerglings kind of running around in different areas. He's checking if there's Zealots hidden anywhere, because you're never really entirely sure, and that can be such a strong move. Like if you bring all your Zerglings up to the front, like up here, and that's a very common play, so that if any Zealots come out, you just catch them immediately. And there's like a Zealot hiding like here or something, and it runs into your third. That's pretty significant damage. So he did a pretty good job of canvassing, but still keeping some of the Zerglings back, making sure that he's going to be fine. Spire is on the way. We don't see a second Geyser as of yet. +1 coming up. Do we have the Citadel? No Citadel. Okay. No +1 attack yet. Okay, he gets the +1 air attack going. That makes more sense. If you're not going to get that, I feel like you'll get the Citadel a little bit quicker. And of course, he'll start a second Corsair immediately. We should see a Citadel very soon, though. Now, the first Corsair coming out. Okay, second gets started. So time to continue that tech forward a little bit. He's not really sure of what's going on right now. Hasn't tried to send more Zealots out or anything like that. Hasn't been consistent production on the Zealots either. Spire about to finish. Second gas going to be finishing as well. Corsair coming across for that scout now. Ooh, flyer carapace. Okay, so we know right now that most likely, now there are 4 Scourge on the way, which is the very standard anyways, whether you're going Hydra or you're going Muta, you're going to do that to push the Corsairs back as quickly as possible. And in fact, he's going to get a kill on this Corsair. Yeah, this is a little bit sloppy here from Promise. That losing your first Corsair when your opponent wants to go Mutas is like the cardinal sin of PvZ. Okay, he takes 1 hit. He's going to try to out-micro this. Ooh! Generally, what you'll see here is just a flank by these Scourge onto this Corsair. So he'll just like wait in front of where it's coming. And nice juking. Nice juking. I've talked about this in lots of casts in the past, of course. The way that Scourge, when you like right-click a Scourge onto a unit, or it's just trying to attack a unit, sharp turns can screw it up. There's like ways, for instance, if Scourge are following your dropship to get a few Marines out before they hit. Generally, you can't do it too much, but you can see here how he keeps juking. He juked as this came, and looked like he was going to hit. See? It's really good micro from Promise. We have to give him credit where it's due. Very good micro, but I think he is still getting caught. Oh my God, I can't believe he didn't get him that time. Crazy. And there's another little mini game in there, by the way, guys. That's an insane save. There's another little mini game inside of there where when you know that they're manually clicking the Scourge to try to get you, because manual clicks are better than like an attack move there. Sometimes you can click like randomly in a direction and they'll misclick that Scourge a little bit. It'll be a move command. Right? So a lot of little back and forth. Promise actually comes out on top there. So very well done. Now, there's a lot of Mutas being made and another 10 Scourge. Holy crap. There's a lot of Scourge on the way, man. So this is going to be like, this is all about catching Corsairs. Zealots are moving out. Legs are almost done. +1 is done. Storm is on the way. +1 air attack almost done. +1 flyer carapace, a little bit slower as it always is. He's coming across the map with his Mutalisks. Doesn't have that +1 flyer carapace. You got to really keep track of that. It's like it changes the way that it looks so much if Corsairs have +1 and Mutas do not. It really, like, the Corsairs are already good against Scourge and Mutas, but with that +1, it gets pretty overwhelming. Whereas when you get the +1, the Scourge have a much easier time connecting. So I actually am a fan of 815 sitting back here and not going yet. Wait for that +1 air armor. He is getting Hydralisk upgrades right now, by the way. Single DT coming out on the map. Gonna remove some of these scoutlings. You can see if you look at the mini map in the bottom left here, guys, that we have like really great vision, but you don't get it doesn't say anything to you basically when a DT kills something in one hit. So sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to realize that you're losing your vision unless you're glancing at the mini map and remembering where you put everything. The single DT did scout this 4th base. The Muta's flying around. They do have that +1 carapace. We have about a 20-ish Scourge right now. So enough Scourge to kill all the Corsairs if they connect. Both sides have +1. And here we go. The Scourge in a very spread formation. 6 Mutalisks. So it takes 5 Mutas to kill a probe. With 6, if there's like a cannon there, you can kill the cannon and keep killing probes in one shot. So it's definitely a smart move to get more than 5, I would say. Now, here come the Scourge. This is the really important part. The Mutas are going after the Zealots, and he actually turns the Scourge around. Okay. The Corsair's going to fly down the side. In fact, on a move command, not going to stop for the Overlord. He's trying to bring these in from an angle. Sorry I have to be so zoomed out, but this is like really important macro plays here. And the Scourge are trying to come in from that angle to catch. There's 2 cannons here, so if he flies over that, you're losing like 1 Scourge per shot, basically. So you can't really follow into those cannons. No damage has been dealt to the air army. He has pushed back Promise's Zealots. The Corsairs, I'm surprised he didn't make more. Like, he's got 7, which is not at all a bad number of Corsairs. But when you see that many Scourge, that many Mutas, it almost feels like maybe you should make a few more to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed. He does have Psystorm, so that's one thing, right? He has 4 High Templars. He has Dragoons coming out. Dragoon range is still on the way here. We have +1 armor as well on the ground units, so it's some important stuff. 1 Storm on the Mutas or the Scourge. Like, if you Storm Scourge, they just explode, like, almost instantaneously. So that, like, if he can Storm the Scourge 1 time, that's going to allow the Corsairs to probably bowl over the rest of it. Now, Promise, I think he's going to just take a 3rd Nexus. He's got a huge bank right now. You can see he does have those 8 gateways, producing pure Dragoon at the moment. Okay, here we go. The Corsair's coming up. Okay, gets 1 storm down. Not the greatest storm. Doesn't do that much. 815, trying to get a good engage. Don't forget, 815 right now is an insane economy because of that 4th base. Oh, he flies into the Scourge there. The Muta's trying to... Oh my god, he storms his own army trying to get the Mutas. A Pyrrhian victory if I've ever seen one. Now, that was like a weird engage we just saw. The Scourge are all gone. The Mutas are all gone. The Corsairs are all gone. Who does that benefit? Like... I feel like that's maybe just slightly better because you could make a group of Mutas again to kill the High Templars, especially considering you have the 4th base up now. It feels like it's slightly better for 815, in my opinion. Now, with Promise moving out, okay, he's got this Nexus almost done. You know, he's got that very healthy set of gateways. He's up to 9 gates, 10 gates right now. Looks like the Citadel in the way. He's going to have to kill that off. That's kind of funny. Probably not going to want to make Dragoons out of that one anymore. But yeah, you definitely don't need it after you have Templar Archives up and you have, you know, Zealot legs. Lurkers coming up. Hive on the way here. A very good macro game. You know, I spent so much time talking about how 815 cheeses so much and is so crazy aggressive. But this has been a very straightforward macro game. You know, he's playing it well. Now, this is bad. This is bad right here. Promise runs like 2+ groups of Zealots over a ton of Lurkers. He took so much damage there onto his Zealots that he did not need to take. This is like, I feel like this is the biggest thing that separates Protoss players from each other is like how they engage in ZVP or PVZ, obviously. You know, he throws down some storms there. The Hydra's coming up. It really seems like 815 is going to be able to kill Promise. That you just, when you see a move like that, it's like, okay, that stuff works in, you know, Protoss versus Protoss and Protoss versus Terran, but you can't just run your Zealots into these the spikes, right? Like, He should have started the engage with the Dragoons and threw some storms down and looked for when the Zealots could come in. Instead, he's lost a huge amount of his supply. Look at this. He's down. He was up a lot of supply, and now he's down. And it's just, it's too bad to see because, like, the game built up very well, and then he just, you know, had a terrible, terrible move there. It didn't even really make sense. He pulls back. The High Templars are all gone. We're down to Dragoon Zealot. This is not a winnable position. Without any question, 815 is good enough to win from here. You know, he's getting Defiler Mound, another Evolution Chamber. There's some very good, strong things he's doing, but really just with what he's got, it's like basically impossible for Promise at this point. Like, you just simply must have Psystorm. You can't fall down to just Gateway units. Maybe if he had killed, like, if you take this whole army, get rid of it. Everything right there in that circle. Okay, maybe the game is playable and even there. But, like, when you look at how much there is and how you just don't have enough Psystorms anymore because you lost every High Templar and you lost, like, 20 Zealots for nothing, does not look good. We can definitely say some things about Promise, though. Like, he's macroing very well, right? He's macroing very well. His third base was on a good time. His opening was strong. He did many things well. But now you look at this. Look at this spread of Lurkers everywhere. Tons of Hydras and Lings behind, ready to just run into Dragoons trying to clear this. Brings more down in this direction. He does have some Psystorms ready. He has a lot of Zealots in the back. The Zealots in the back can come up when the Lurker count isn't so deadly. Or, I mean, you can always send a few Zealots too. It's just you don't want to send all of them into the spines. But it's okay to send like a smaller group and then they draw some spines there so your Dragoons are taking less damage, right? There's a lot of different ways you can do it, just not with everything at once. So it looks like he's starting to push through. All these Hydras being morphed into Lurkers. And yeah, that's making it, you know, that's making it a little bit easier to clear this. But you can see basically Zerglings are running up and tanking shots and the Lurkers are getting extra shots there. So the Zealots start to flow out. He uses some of them. Psystorm count very low right now. Looks like he does have 3 Psystorms here in the back. These front 2, no more energy on them. Okay, another base is being taken by 815. No reason not to. May as well continue to expand. Definitely in a big advantaged position right now. Promise. You know, he's going to start breaking through here a little bit. You can see, like, there's way more Zealots that can even attack a Lurker. So he is taking more damage than he should here. But doing better than we saw before, at least. Now, starts to attack to the north here. Still taking a lot of Lurker damage. See? Like, all these Lurkers are targeting those Zealots. And he's just got a big group of them together. Like, they can't even all attack at once. They're just kind of running around getting killed. That's a... Like, I mean... It's bad, guys. And you might look at it and say, oh, the supply is still kind of close. No. No. Not really. It's like this is... There's just no army quality here. It's not large enough. At this point, he really needs a 4th base. It doesn't look like we're anywhere near that. Defilers are coming up. 815 has absolutely destroyed Promise here. Destroyed him. All right, looks like Promise going to get into Reavers. Unfortunately, he's out of minerals, so he's mining on 1 base. He's going to go 2 Robo Reaver, which Reaver is actually really mineral intensive. So the fact that you have like 3, 6, 9, 10 gate and then 2 Robo Reaver, you just absolutely can't do that off 1 base. You just cannot do it. It does not work. Like, you know, it's just... What else is there to say about that? He's sending the Zealots up here to the top right. Yeah, like maybe he can kill this hatch, but he needs to break out at the same time, and that looks almost impossible with 3 Defilers sitting here. Yeah, look at that. Throws down the Darkstorm. The Dragoon's no longer useful. He doesn't have enough Storm and Zealots to really break through. I think we might see GG at any moment, which means Promise is going to go down to fight Ample. That could actually be kind of interesting. Promise is definitely better at Protoss versus Terran than he is at Protoss versus Zerg here. And that means that 815 will actually fight Mihu. That sounds doable, right? But 815 did play like a really good macro game here. So maybe 815 is kind of filling out his play. You know, maybe it's only ASL that he's really saving those super, super cheesy games for. Promise coming up. This is going to be his last attack. He can't refill this army at all. He's got a reasonable amount of supply. His army comp, not that great. He is throwing down his Psy Storms, unfortunately not getting the value that he needs out of them, which would basically be everything being killed at once. Yeah, it's a tough one. Looks like right now 815. If we zoom out, you can see, right? He's got massive containment, massive rally point, tons of hatcheries, tons of drones, sick economy, remaking bases. We have this like little outpost of Protoss units trying to hold this area while he tries to get a fourth base, but we're just going to have a ton of units come in. He forces a cancel on the Nexus. He's bringing up mass Lurker Ling. If he just burrows this, you basically can't reinforce that anymore. Cut off those reinforcements, and you can kill this army. Running into a ton of Lurker Spines here with the Zealots. And, you know, I kind of been waiting for a bit. He is going to kill this hatch again, so that's kind of nice. But really, there's not anything left. In fact, this Reavers are getting stuck down here, unfortunately. We should be seeing GG. Definitely looks that way to me. The last few units going to get picked off here, it looks like. Promise fighting hard. You know, he had decent upgrades. And again, I think he did some redeeming moves here, but definitely once he made some mistakes, 815 capitalized, and there wasn't a lot left to do. Not the greatest engages against the Lurkers. Definitely better at that early game. GG on the next match. The winner's match, we have 815 in the top right. In the bottom right, we have Mihu. Very exciting stuff. Can Mihu advance and be the first non-Korean to advance this season in CNSL 7? Yeah, I think it is definitely possible. We're on Blitz X. So, you know, Blitz X is... I think it's kind of interesting map because of the weird little bridge in the center. Like, you can really choke that off and make it really hard to get through. Yeah, I'm not sure what style you're really supposed to play, to be honest, on this map. It's a hard one to pin down. Like, I almost feel like mech could be used here, although you have like a big main to be dropped in and the standard problems with mech. I think bio is, of course, totally fine. I don't know that Lurker Hydra Defiler, which has been so popular, I'm not sure that that's as good on this map, because I think siege tanks are stronger on this map than just about any other map against Zerg. And just in general, this is just a great map for siege tanks. I'll show you guys as the map gets revealed a little bit. But yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not sure what to expect here. One thing to mention about Mihu, I would say this is probably his weakest matchup. Sometimes he has some very good looking Terran vs. Zerg games. And one thing to mention is he generally doesn't get turn rate 24 low latency against Korean players. So they can't utilize, like the pros can't utilize their full 100% Mutalist control. So I think if you play like a very solid Mutalist control based game against him, he can have a little bit of a hard time depending on latency. Just something to throw out there. Now, taking a look here, this is what I was talking about with the siege tanks. So the third base here, if you just siege like a decent amount of tanks here, Zerg can't come through here, and coming up ramps is always tough. So like this centralized defensive area in the later game, I think is very powerful for Terran. And it makes me think that the Hydra Lurker Defiler type play might not be as strong here. Excuse me. Now, it looks like probably just a standard 2-hatch. On Mihu's side, it looks like he wanted to go for a 1 depot expansion, and he is making that 1 Marine to force the drone back. You know, he will have to skip SCVs just a little tiny bit, but he's going to get this up quicker than normal. So getting a little scout down, and we'll see. I mean, when you do this, you go into 2 racks every single time. That's about it, right? Like, if you don't have a wall and you've done the 1 depot expand, you have to skip Marines for a while. And if you don't make that second racks, any sort of Ling pressure is going to kill you. So there's the second barracks. This is going to have to turn into a 2 barracks academy rush. There's really nothing else you can do from a 15 command center without a wall. Layer on the way here for 815, just standard stuff. And we'll just keep an eye on how many lings he makes, because that's really the only thing that changes the early game between these two builds. Like, you want to keep the SCV alive and just kind of rotate through looking at Zergling counts. Because occasionally when someone plays against this, like, what you can do against that quick command center with the 15 depot, when your spawning pool finishes, you can make 8 lings right away, because spawning pool and hatchery line up, just so people know, right? When you do a standard fast expansion Zerg, this finishes and this finishes at the same time. So yeah, basically when you see the hatch finish, you know that the layer is starting. Okay, it's nice that things line up like this. It makes it easy to remember. But like, for instance, if he had made those right away, there would have been 1 or 2 Marines, and then you have to like build a bunker and put SCVs to block and all this stuff, and it slows your build down quite a bit. But 815 hasn't chosen to do that, and you don't need to choose to do that, because if Terran's on top of things, it doesn't do any real damage. Like, it does fake damage, I think we can call it, where you lose some mining time. You know, it's not like you're losing minerals overall, but like slowing your build down. So Academy coming up. That third hatch we had just seen up here in the main base of 815. Spire coming as well. There's a second gas, getting a single creep colony just for safety's sake. And we should see a couple medics start here. So his overall Marine count is going to be 8. Yeah, this is like exact timing for a two racks Academy rush, right? At 5 minutes, if you move out with 8 Marines and 2 medics, it's pretty darn strong. You have to make 2 Sunkens against that. He only has 1 so far. But if you spot it on the move out, you can get the second on time. So if he starts it as soon as this Ling sees. Okay, now you start one. There it is. Maybe just slightly slow. Like, he'll get here right before the Sunken Colony is done if he makes a beeline for it. And there's not really that many Lings. We'll see if he actually makes some additional Lings. The Spire is just about to finish, so I think he's just banking for that. Yeah, 4 Mutas on the way. You see the Sunken has been started. He's ready to throw an Evolution Chamber down, and that'll stop the stim and run up for focus fire. So basically, like, if you were to do that, you would like have to stim up, and you can't go around this side, so you have to micro through this side. This Sunken gets better range. It's, you know, there's a lot of little tiny things that we just saw line up there in a row. So, you know, interesting. We see those things all the time, though. Just trying to explain some of them. Now, a lot of mutas being made by 815. He's going to fly across the map. And like I said before, I think this is a good way to play against Mihu. Mihu here going 2 racks factory. Excuse me. He does have range on the way. He's getting up missile turrets. If you play like this, you have to make lots of turrets. Oh, no. 99% turret. That's actually incredibly painful. That is so annoying. Now, 815 wasn't able to capitalize, so he gets that finished. Needs to repair it, though. But yeah, okay, so if you go 2 racks like this, you can't really put pressure on out in the map because you don't have enough barracks to refill your Marine count. So that's something you have to take into consideration. Now, you will get your air units faster, which is what Mihu's going for. The mutas come in, they start at these turrets. You know, mineral lines that are split like this can be a little bit hard to defend. He's building some more turrets. It's hard to get Marines back here to actually hit. He does have range now, so that's going to help. Getting his Marines into this mineral line. Just trying to force 815 back. I want to take a look. I think we're just seeing, like, it looks like a vessel rush, but this is... He doesn't have an armory. This game is not looking super fantastic for Mihu. So he starts the armory. It's a little bit late in comparison to the finishing of this starport. So he'll throw down the add-on, but the add-on will finish in advance of this. Well, he's not throwing down the add-on. And the thing is, he doesn't need to right away because he just needs to line up with the armory. So just waiting till this is about closer to halfway done. But yeah, this isn't super well lined up. He is going into Valkyries, which are going to be strong, but he's only got 2 racks still. This is a very mineral-heavy play to go into the Valkyries. Now, if we just see a switch into Lurkers here, that would be very, very strong. There's a lot of mutas still being made, though. Okay, we have a good amount of mutas here. So we got 9, we have 12, and 2 more on the way. So he's going up to 14. I think at that point you have to stop. You really should be switching to Lurker, because if you look at what this build is, and I guess he didn't have great scout of exactly what this is, you're spending so many minerals right now getting out anti-air, and you don't have that much bio. And you're not going into Siege Tank because that's another kind of mineral heavy thing that you would need to do. So Lurkers are just like, they basically counter this build overall. This is the type of game where if he had gone Lurkers slightly faster, he would actually have a window to get them up and contain, which is super metagame right now. A lot of Zergs play like that. And it's really hard to stop if you do something like Valkyries quickly. And you know, the thing is, it's so hard to deal with these mutas that the Valkyries make sense. You feel good about them, but when the Lurkers are out, they lose a lot of their value. Now, the Valk comes out and, you know, put a little bit of damage there onto the mutas. Mutas still microing pretty heavily. They do have that +1 attack. Zergling speed as well as carapace on the way here. Getting ready for a bunch of Lurkers. This is like the one timing that Mihu is going to have this game, where maybe he can move out and get damage before Lurkers. But right now you see him kind of microing here against the mutas, so he's actually already missed attacking here. As far as here, there's still maybe a possibility if 815 does not send some Lurkers up there immediately. He's making one Hydra, but like this army, let's see. Like if he grabs 3 Lurkers and runs in this direction, he should be fine. Let's see. Come on. Ooh, he runs 5. Okay, well, 5 is fine, but you do want to leave probably 2 here. Like 5 will be good at defending this space, and this space will be invincible. Ooh, I love that move. Such a good move, but no hold position. If he had hold position there, he might have been able to get like a game-winning move. But you know what? He zones everything out. Mihu has to walk back. Let's go back and take a look at what Mihu's doing in his main. Okay, so he's gone Valkyrie into dropship play. This is kind of a risky maneuver because, okay, so science vessels are continual damage, right? Like you can predict how much damage is going to be dealt with science vessels for the most part. Because, you know, you'll irradiate maybe the mutas a couple times, but then you'll be doing 1 Lurker, 1 Defiler at a time. Valkyries are like, okay, these are to counter the air units, yes. Dropships have asymmetric rewards for their cost, right? Like sometimes they do nothing and in fact get you behind because you'll like lose them to Scourge, and then other times they do tons of damage, and sometimes in between. So like basically he's utilizing the Valkyries that he's made to try to keep Muta and Scourge out of the picture so that he can drop with his 2 dropships here. But that means that all of his vessels are very, very late, and there's no consistency of damage anywhere. He's looking for big damage with these 2. And he doesn't even have that many units in it. But right now, the Valkyries are doing a good job of just kind of clearing things, right? The Valks fly up here, kill the Overlord. They've killed multiple Overlords now. He's got 2 dropships full. Looks like he's got 3 medics total, so it's like a perfect balance of units. And he'll attack, move towards the main base, right? So right now, way out of position. There's a couple Overlords here. He actually scans ahead. That shows what he's going to do. When you see a scan like that, you're sure that it's going to be dropped. So he, like we see the units coming back, doesn't send him up all that quickly. Let's see what he's able to do. The mutas might have a hard time here. He does have some Scourge in there as well. Stims forward. Mihu picking off a Lurker. Pulls back, pulls back. Okay, Scourge gets a Valkyrie there. There's only 1 left over. He's killing some Overlords. So, like, there's a little bit of damage. And we should point out that Mihu right now, 53 SCVs, looking good. Still has a bit more supply, only 36 drones for his opponent. But all the Valks are gone. The dropships, did any dropships? Yeah, the dropships did make it out, and it looks like he wants to try that again. But everything's pretty well defended. I love that he's going into Ultra. This is a good choice here. I don't like this for Mihu at all. I don't like it at all for him. Right? Like he's... Let's see, is that +2 carapace that's on the way? It is. So he's already got +2 carapace halfway done before +2 is started for Mihu. Mihu has a window of like maybe 2 minutes to win this game. If he doesn't win this game in like 2 minutes, 815 is going to run away with it. His chitinous plating is almost done. His +2 carapace is almost done. His +1 melee, his adrenal. He's going to have like mass Ling Ultra plus some Lurkers around. There's very few vessels to gain value with. The drops haven't done it. Well, I mean, this is crazy that he runs up with 6 Lurkers and does not burrow quickly enough. So he loses so much. Well, this is the window we were talking about, right? Mihu has this small amount of time where he can get massive damage done, and definitely a big flub there from 815. Very, very painful stuff. And he's getting in here and he's getting some serious damage. You know, Mihu making this a game once again. You know, I think while we were watching that, there must have been the dropships going around doing something. Like, that must have been it, and I think they got cleared. But he kills a ton of drones in here. We're down to 34 drones. Ultras are coming out at this point. The mutalist count is reduced very, very much. But it doesn't matter because the mutas don't really matter at this point. He does start +2. But +2 Ultra Skarmer is about to finish. So, look. We're going to have 1-4 Ultras. That is going to roll 1-1 bio. Roll it. It's not even going to be close. I'm sorry to make this game slightly anticlimactic, but Mihu's the one that chose his builds, not me. Yeah, I think that 815, once again, has played a very, very excellent game here. And playing macro as well. So we should point that out, right? Even these players that are super aggressive in ASL, you put them against one tier lower, like the CNSL crowd, and he's just killing everyone with macro games. It's wild how much better like actual pros are than pretty much everyone else. Now, a little stim forward. Mihu looking for some damage. He does throw down a couple of radiates. Getting behind the mineral line, not a bad idea here. Try to make it so the Ultras can't even hit your Marines or have to hit them single file, that type of thing. The irradiated Ultra is actually dealing a lot of damage to the other Ultras as well. This is huge. This is kind of a sloppy play. I think 815 thinks he can't lose. But, like, this is not the best way to approach this. Like, I guess what do you do in this situation? It would be nice if he still had a few Lurkers, but unfortunately not the case. The Ultras will eventually clean this up, but they're being as about as cost inefficient as you... Oh, God, they actually can't... They literally can't get there. That's funny. That happens sometimes on these mineral patches. Not a super common occurrence, but yeah, he's going after the hive now. Yeah, that's not going to work. Lings come out, and they're going to be able to clean up the rest of this. Going to re-drone. His drone count is incredibly, incredibly low right now. Dude, can Mihu still win this game? So he's making vultures. He's going to try to make it hard to attack him. Here are some things going for Mihu right now, because I know I've been pretty negative on it, and like really you've seen some big flubs here from 815, like the Lurker's not brewing, but I guess maybe his attention was elsewhere. But yeah, maybe sloppy on that cleanup. So the fact that he's throwing down mines and there's no fourth base for 815 does make it a bit more playable. He also didn't get Ultralisk speed. So you can see the Ultras actually having a hard time coming up and engaging. Mihu engaging here just before 2-2 is done is a little bit dangerous, but I think he wants to try to hit before there's more units out. The drone count is so low that we don't see additional Lings in here. It's like just Ultras. Dude, Mihu's going to pull this off. I am kind of in shock. What a legend. What a legend. He's actually like down upgrades and everything. Tough spot for so many things in this game. You know, his build order was a little bit questionable. The drop didn't really do anything, and then he finds a way to kill 5 unburrowed Lurkers, and then he just kind of makes it work from there. This is looking incredibly good for Mihu suddenly. He's laid some mines. You know, you can't really rally in from that other base. He's killing everything off. He does now have his +2 attack, and we're not quite at +3 carapace yet. In fact, targeting this down would be the best thing he could do. But I think the game's pretty much over. 815. He's made some errors here after getting very, very far ahead. And, yeah, that's going to end up costing me. He's never going to get that +3 carapace, which is painful because that, once again, will give him a huge advantage with Ultra against Marine. Instead, Ultra versus Marine is pretty close right now. In fact, slightly Marine favored because we didn't get the Ultralisk speed. But yeah, really nothing left over here. Mihu has taken his third base. It is the end of the road here for 815, which means Mihu going to advance. Kind of wild. Kind of wild. Just going to contain at the bottom of the ramp for now. There's, yeah, like, he's going to run out of gas in 2 minutes here as well, right? So he's just not even going to be able to produce many Ultras at that point. He has to somehow fight down a ramp. He didn't kill these eggs at all, so this is like super thin. If the Marines just run up and block it, you get no surface area. Now, Mihu doesn't do that. That's okay, though. He still has a lot of units in here. The Ultras trying their best to have a good engage. Almost have that +2 melee as well, but... Just about nothing left. Vulture's seeking out. I think at this point, Mihu's like, wait, why aren't you leaving? Do you have a hidden base? And he's checking on that right now. Looks like there is an idea for a hidden base here in the bottom left. So that is definitely not a bad idea at all. Some Ling's going to come through these mines, it looks like, maybe. Mihu backing up a little bit, but his production is good enough. He's got 3 times the supply. And without that additional carapace, dude, the carapace was seconds from finishing, too. Kind of heartbreaking in that regard. And really, I mean, we're going to see GG any second here. Mihu going to probably irradiate this Ultra, maybe irradiate drones. He can really kind of do anything. Yeah. Tons of Marines continue to file up. It's actually almost out of mining. He's only going to have 1 base left, and he's actually going to find this. Maybe this will be what triggers a game leave there. Another Ultra popping out. Yeah, maybe you have to kill all of his buildings. And GG. Mihu advances in first place. So Mihu is moving up in first place, of course. And now we're going to have the loser match. It's going to be between Ample and Promise. We're going to get that started right now. We have it on Blitz Y once again. In the top right, we have Promise. And in the bottom right, we have Ample. This could be a good match, right? Like, I felt like the opening and everything of Promise was really strong. If you have a very strong opening against Terran, you're in a very good shape, generally, for the rest of the game. Few things. It's a 2-player map, so we can have offensive gas, we can have offensive gateways, right? We can have a lot of pressure being put on. I hope to see that from Promise. As far as Ample goes, Ample is one of the most aggressive Terran versus Protoss players. He's very, very good at Terran versus Protoss. I think everyone would agree it's his strongest matchup. So looking forward to seeing how he's going to play in an aggressive style versus a stolen gas, because there are multiple ways. I mean, you can do a Marine push. You can. By the way, the Ample Depot. For people, if you're old school... if you're an old school ArtosisCasts watcher, let me know that you know about the Ample Depot, if you do, in the comments. It's a real thing. He literally, every matchup, always puts his depot like this. You know, unless he makes that the choke or something. But that he loves this offset depot. A lot of people set it exact so the SCVs spawn closer. He likes it like that. Okay, so Probe comes down immediately, harassing this. He's trying to block where Ample wants to put the gate. I mean, the gate, the barracks. I wish it was a gate. And down comes the gas first. Okay, so he got his gas right away so that it can't be stolen. Did Promise wait too long? Like, not stealing gas, okay? The thing is, you can do whatever you want, right? Like, there's all sorts of different metagaming and strategies and different powers to different things. And if you have a coherent game plan, anything can make sense. Just about. But one thing that I am pretty certain is wrong is not stealing the gas. I think in every situation, stealing the gas is correct. It doesn't, I mean, your probe is already down here, right? The probe harassment, they have to keep at least one SCV off, and then they have to repair oftentimes. Like, you're gaining value with the probe, okay? But if you steal the gas... Terran can't have, like, that's not their game plan. Well, I mean, you could make it your game plan, but it's just you're weaker without the gas. So look, he gets a factory at a normal time. Like, if he had stolen the gas, it's like this just comes later, and it's like, well, do you expand? There's so many different things that Protoss can do at that point, and they're dictating the flow of the game, and that it is like always better to dictate the game when you can, especially when it's so cheap. And in fact, I've done the math on it. Well, not me. My buddy Dunebug did the math on it. But if you steal the gas and they have to use SCVs to kill it, the assimilator costs them more money than it costs you because they lose more than 100 minerals killing it. Okay? There's really no downside. So anyways, again, you're allowed to do whatever you want, but you should steal gas on 2-player maps against Terran. Okay. And by the way, you always kill it with SCVs, just so you know, because like if you don't start on it by the time your first Marine is basically out, then range dragoons will kill you. So, anyways, enough of that. Taking a look over here, we have the Nexus already started. We have a Zealot over on the side. Vulture comes out. He has just enough, if microed correctly, to stop this. And you can see, yeah, pretty good micro. And he will start that bunker now as well. Always a smart choice. Gonna have to get the command center started really, really quickly here. He didn't get an add-on. Oof. Okay, Promise has the lead. Okay, it's not huge. It's not huge. This is not something you can't play from, but Promise has taken the advantage after this early game slightly. And here's why. Look at the command center. It's just started. This is very close to finishing. If it's a factory expansion and it's playing against, just Protoss that got gas as well, your command center, you want to get as close timed to the Protoss Nexus as possible. Really, they should be within, 10, 15 seconds of each other. But when it's that far apart, right, that's like 45 seconds apart or 50 seconds apart. It's pretty significant, right? It takes 13 seconds to make a worker. So, like, automatically you're losing workers in comparison to your opponent. In fact, he killed a worker there, but, let's call it 50 seconds less. It's like, how many SCVs is that? 4? 4-ish? So, like, he can make 4 more probes now, and he's mining for more patches for longer. So, it's just... You want to make sure you're getting that down. So overall, the opening did end up working out for Promise, I think. Mines on the way, siege tank on the way. He has 4 Marines. So we might see that 4 Marine siege tank push. 2 of the Marines have been damaged. Not the biggest deal. But this is a really good move, especially if he gets up here and lays mines behind the goons. Like if he lays a mine like here, like those 2 areas, and you push with the tank, the tank and 4 Marines. Okay, he's actually just laying the mines like at expansion points, which is fine. You can definitely do that, but I would love to see one here, because if you can push the goons back into that, they're gonna have a terrible time. So repairing that bunker. There is an armory that's been made, so it is well, it's probably not upgrade Terran. Upgrade Terran not very popular right now. It's probably going to be a 5 factory or 6 factory attack. Lays a couple mines in here. Vulture comes up, and he actually sees the robotic support base. So he's going to know that Reaver is next, and that's going to allow him to kind of try to counter that a little bit. Make sure he has his missile turrets ready and everything. And, in fact, SCV is being brought up for those turrets now. Probably build one around there, and that's pretty good to zone out that shuttle for a little bit. Already has a turret at the front just for safety's sake. Making siege mode, a couple tanks out, a few vultures around the map. There is a probe up here in the top left. Kind of funny that he didn't lay a mine there. This is actually the most common third base right now for Protoss on Blitzwhy. He did put one here and one here. I mean, those are good locations to put them as well. But yeah, no, it's funny that we don't see any real pressure from Ample, but I think what we're seeing here, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to see him throw down 4 to 5 factories very suddenly in the next minute. He has siege mode. He has an excellent turret ring. This is a full turret ring. There is no spot a shuttle can fly in without taking turret hits. So he's got really good defense, and that's going to make it a little bit hard for Promise to scout what's coming. Now, that being said, like almost every single game on this map is a 5 or 6 factory push. So I think you can kind of be like, that's fine. We're just going to make a bunch of units on 3 base and try to hold that. So there's the second factory. Let's see if he throws down 3 to 4 more right now. Third factory. So this is probably why he didn't do the pressure build I was talking about, because he just wanted to make sure he didn't lose anything. So right now he's going up to 5 fact, and it looks like that might just be the choice. Probably get +1 armor started after this as well. And right now, just trying to get some probes over here, right? He doesn't want to lose workers. You got to make the wall. You got to kind of make sure vultures can't get in there right now, because otherwise you're going to start losing those probes, and you really need to add gates soon. Promise, notice he only has 1 gas still. He's going to add a bunch of gates, and I think that is a very, very good play, by the way. Ooh, going to get a couple probes, maybe even 3 probes here. Very nice on that vulture. Very nice. That's super, super annoying for Protoss. But yeah, so what I think we're going to see, okay, there's the 6th factory, and the 6th factory is a little bit later, but that's fine. He's going to do a really dedicated attack up the center. He's probably done SCVs at this point, 46. That's like really solid for 2 base. And it's almost all in what we're going to see from Ample. Now, Goliath range is incredibly important, and he is getting that. A lot of the defense we're going to see from Promise is going to be based around this speed shuttle with Reavers. Okay? Right now, like, the metagame on this map is really kind of solidifying. Like, we're seeing a lot of the same early and mid-game type of ideas come out. And the big one from Terran is get like your Goliath range, get your siege tanks. This is weird, by the way, that he only has 1 add-on. That's incredibly surprising to me. But yeah, so you take siege tank Goliath, you push up, and you go through this really thin area. You start sieging up here, and you push out, and then you take over this area, right? Once you have this area, it's like a 2mm push to the natural. It's super easy, like 2 siege tank leapfrogs, and you're hitting the Nexus. And so that makes it hard because Protoss, if they want to counterattack, they have to go way around, right? So you just, you know, you're laying some mines, you're slowing them, you're keeping track of what they're doing. But almost every game turns into a push like this. Now, everyone goes Reaver, but if you lose this over on this side of the map, it becomes very easy for Terran. So you can't be losing it. So everyone goes range Goliath to try to pick it off, and he almost loses it there without taking a shot. It's truly amazing how many Protoss pros just lose that shuttle right away with the Reavers. You need the Reavers in this area to slow it down, right? Like, look, this is 2 Goliaths wide. So, like, if you're slowing them down in this area, it's very hard. They have to leapfrog a ton of times. It buys you several rounds on your gateways. But everyone's losing their shuttles down here. It's like, and we don't see anything slowed right now. He's just going to bomb in, it looks like. Okay, he's making a lot of Zealots. Zealot legs are not done yet. He still has a little bit of time until that, and this push is going to hit. Slow Zealots, man. Promise in some trouble. He's running his probes away. Vulture's going right up the ramp, catching this opportunity. Now, because nothing's coming, he has to know that this is coming, right? Needs to lay these mines, needs to siege up, needs to make sure that he does not get busted by this. It's going to cut off reinforcements, sure, but this is going to crush the Nexus and maybe deal damage in the main base. All right, here he is. He's trying to get in there. Dive bombs in with the Reaver shuttle. Yeah, it looks like Promise is running into a bunch of mines here, unfortunately. And actually, you know what? He runs through mines, through the bunker, drops on top of missile turrets, and he is doing a lot of damage. He is breaking in. The speed Zealots are going to be able to drag these mines. He's going to get on top of the factories. Ample trying to push up here. Huh. I am surprised. I thought that Ample was going to end up holding that pretty easily, but now it's looking like he's kind of screwed. Like, killing the Reavers alone is very hard here, but you, like, if this was just gateway units, you just bring your SCVs and units pop out and you clear it. With the Reavers, you can't do that. So he has to kill it with units popping out, and it's mostly Vultures. Realistically, he should start only Goliaths out of these, because they're going to have much more standing and fighting power than Vultures. But right now, he's getting a ton of probes. There's so much damage on both sides. It's absurd. It is absurd. This is such a hard game to call right now. You can see their supplies super even at the moment. Both of them on 2 bases, which generally would be better for Terran. But there's a lot of bad things going on for Terran right now. Look, Ample doesn't even have an add-on. So he's going to be down to 2 siege tanks, no add-ons. Do you make add-ons? Do you try to flood Vulture and get more damage on your opponent? It's so hard to say. Looking over here, Dark Templar tech, also getting into more gateways. Dude, he has an academy, but no add-ons. And he's going to want to produce SCVs here. If he produces SCVs to refill that hurt count... Oh, man, he killed so many probes. DTs might be able to do something, like clean up the next push for almost free. So that could be a bit of an issue. What a wild game. You see, he's trying to take another Nexus here. That's not going to work for now. Can't believe he lost every probe in the main. The probe count is just terrible. It is just awful right now. Now, he does need to make sure he's clearing mines because he's making Dark Templars. And those are kind of like his chance here to maybe get that additional damage. Ah, the add-ons. The comsats coming up. Very, very good stuff. No photon cannon in here. If he did rotate through with those Vultures, that would be gigantic. Ah, the 2 DTs catching the siege tanks. Don't forget, he didn't have an add-on, so the siege tank count is super low right now. Gets rid of 1. The other one's super, super low. Oh, he runs out of scans. He runs out of scans. The DT can walk back. Oh, he gets both the mines. If he can kill these tanks with this, it is so huge. Even a mine drag right now is pretty powerful. Like, the siege tanks are important. You're not going to win this game with pure vulture anymore, right? I don't think so, at least. But it is a lot of vultures as well. All right, Dragoon's trying to come through the middle. He's waiting for that observer. Doesn't want to just walk through mines. Look at this, getting those extra hits on the siege tanks. This is huge. Oh, he walks into some mines there. Gonna pick off the other siege tank as well. The vulture count is so much it can actually just kill these. Another add-on coming up. Puts the tank under, under the barracks so it can't be targeted. That's actually kind of smart because if you attack move, they'll do things like target the turret, the mines, that type of thing. So cute move there. Some DTs coming down. The DTs aren't going to do it because there are going to be scans again. Right? Yep. He has just enough for 2 scans. So he's going to scan, kill both these, kill the cannon. I think Ample's got it. I think that's it. I think this is the final bit of damage that he needed because there's just not going to be any workers left over. Look at the tiny worker count. He can sack these vultures just targeting down probes at this point, and that is definitely a strong move. Yeah, trying to pick off as many as he possibly can. Look at that probe count just plummet once again. What a crazy game we had here in that loser match. Just a handful of probes left in this game, man. I don't really see any way for Promise to fight back. Yeah, looks like another DT was over here and got picked. GG. So far, we have Mihu going to the round of 16 in first place in Group C, and Promise is out first. I guess no huge surprises so far. And now we're going into the very final match here. It's going to be Ample going up against 815. One of these players will advance, the other will be eliminated, and we're going to get into that right now. In the bottom left of Apocalypse, we have Ample. In the bottom right, we have 815. Okay, there's like a huge range of things that can happen here. Who is favored? Okay, I gotta say, tonight in the games, I feel like 815, well, he bungled against Mihu. And again, I think that might have been partially my bad. I think we missed like a dropship he was cleaning up. Maybe that made the diversion that allowed him to lose 5 lurkers for free. And allowed Mihu to get back into a game that he had absolutely zero business winning. Zero business. So, kind of crazy. But I think overall, like, 815 has looked better than everyone else tonight. I think he's chosen better builds. He's had good execution. He's had good macro. But I guess we just have to wait and see here. And is he going to be able to deliver throughout the game? Because if you make a mistake, I mean, these other players, they can get you. He goes for a 9 pull to open. Over here, Ample. Ooh, forward 8 racks. Okay, so 9 pull is a good counter against the 8 racks. If you scout this quickly as Ample, if your first SV goes over and realizes it's 8 racks, you should be okay. But you do have to block the lings, right? So a normal 9 pull against a normal 11 racks, you'll have 6 lings at their base when they have 1 marine. In this case, he'll have more than 1 marine. Like, he'll probably have his 3rd marine coming, but he has like this kind of wide open area. You're not on a ramp where you can put SCVs there to block, so it's a little bit harder for all that. And he sees the Overlord coming, so he knows where 815 is. So this SCV is going to go immediately. 6 lings are being made very quickly here, and he's going to bring the drone up to make that natural expansion. Now, I just wonder, is he going to try to lift the barracks and put it here and block here? I think that's the right play. I think he has enough time, and I think that's the right play. So he comes down. He sees, okay, it's a 9 pool. And the lings are actually chasing the SCV. So 815 has decided that it's worthless to try to go across the map. He saw the build the entire time. He says, you know what? He'll block it. No point. Let's kill the SCV. Killing the SCV here will allow him to, possibly have another step in an aggressive build. There's always a possibility of some sort of crazy Hydra thing, some sort of speed laying, maybe just quick layer is the way that you want to go as 815. It's really hard to say. But yeah, when you look at an 8 racks versus a 9 pool, I feel like when they hit each other like this, it's close to even. Because the 8 racks against a hatch first, you need to kill 2 drones to have it be even / maybe slightly ahead. Against the 9 pool, like they've already hobbled themselves a little bit, but you can't put any pressure on. So you're not going to kill anything. They're going to have the map control, but like there's no damage to be dealt to you at this point, right? Like maybe earlier on there could have been. Here, there's absolutely not. He puts 4 Marines in here. You're not going to want to attack in there with 6 Lings, but we never know what the follow-up will be. Layer on the way. The Ling's just kind of scouting around right now. He doesn't know what Ample's doing behind here too much. You know, there could be something crazy. You could have something like an additional barracks out there. Plays like that, you know, very risky. High risk, high reward. And it's going to be 1 racks a CAD. I think that this is a perfect follow-up by Ample. Anytime your opponent is doing kind of like a lower economy build, let me call it that, a lower economy build where they're mining less minerals, right? In this case, it's a 9 pool into the quick gas with the quick layer. 1 racks Academy into 2nd racks and Engineering Bay is very, very, very solid. You're going to get your comm stats up in time to scout whatever it is. You're going to have stim, medics, all that. Plenty of units. It's super versatile, and it's really robust, I guess, is what I should call it. Very, very robust. You're not going to die to anything with good execution. 3rd hatch is in the main base here for 815, so he's not going to be punished by anything like a quick stim push out. Not likely, at least. The first medic on the way, and you can see, look at that, already, excuse me, 7 Marines. A 2 racks Academy rush. You know, we call it an Academy rush, but of course, it's so fast when you do it on 1 racks. Normally, the medic pops out at 5 minutes, right? So he's got this even ahead of that. He's going to have stim very quickly. Now, that being said, I don't know if you want to do a move out or not. He's making a fire bat. In fact, a couple fire bats. This looks like it could be a move out. It really does. With 2 fire bats there, like you can leave 1 to sit in your wall so that Ling counterattacks can't really come. And the other one, you know, is like a partner to the Marines and the medic. Like 2 medics can be good, but the fire bat will actually make you better against the mass Lings. So 2 Sunkens are being forced immediately. Really good counterplay here from 815. He has that Spire coming up. Yeah, the Evolution Chamber tries to go down. He's going to stim through that very quickly. You should hold the fire bat back. And without 2 medics, he doesn't want to push up here, and I think that's the right choice. Going to rotate up here, see if there's a 3rd base. There's not, of course. We already know that the 3rd hatch is in that main. Muta's on the way. And, excuse me, does he have turrets coming? Certainly time for that. Excuse me. And, yeah, he's going to get plenty of turrets. He needs to do something up at this wall. He needs to do something here, and he needs to do something up here. And maybe even down here. This area is actually an area that Mutalisks end up abusing a lot on this map in this position. We'll see if that becomes the case or not. So the Bioforce is moving back. He does leave the Fire Bat at that regular 3rd base location. And in fact, the other one he sent out. You might be wondering about that. Like, hey, why are your Fire Bats out on the map? Won't those be easy to kill? Yeah. Yeah, they're just slow down / scout new bases. You don't really need Fire Bats right now. If you had your Fire Bats here, the Mutas would just target them down. They just die, like, instantly. So it's like kind of pointless to leave them at home. You'd rather your opponent have to deal with them elsewhere. They don't really scale up or anything. Like, you don't really need fire bats until about Hive Tech, really. It's all about Marine production because it's all about mutas. Once the mutas are dealt with, if there's like no more mutas at all, man, fire bats are good. But really, they get picked off immediately in these battles. So anyways, the Mutalisk count continues to grow. We've got 7 here for one-shotting SCVs. Flying in, looking at that natural. Really good turret placement here. So he is going to take quite a few missile shots. Coming in to get some damage done. Another missile turret being made. Another one there as well. So going up to 5 missile turrets. Doesn't want any more damage here. Look at this. Really healthy turrets everywhere here for Ample. He is not screwing around. Looking back at A15's base. Oh, fast carapace. This looks like it might end up being Crazy Zerg. There's a real possibility that he just does an Ultralisk rush, which is what Crazy Zerg is. Crazy Zerg referring to the skipping of Lurkers and Defilers because it sounds like it can't win, but it absolutely can. It's a very strong strategy. Have seen 815 do that occasionally in the past. Can't say for sure if that's what he's doing. Looks like he is throwing down a Hydralisk Den, so it's not going to be that. Just a very fast carapace. So if you see fast carapace and a Hydralisk Den, generally, this turns into a mass Lurker Ling push. And if you do not identify that, like against this, you need to get Siege Tank, 1 factory Siege Tanks, and you probably need a few bunkers as well. And you really need to be careful with your bio. Ooh, drones rallying out, unfortunately, here. Uh-oh. Ample is up here, and there's only 2 sunken colonies. The Muta's way out of position right now, and this is looking really, really bad. Oh, my God. I think A15. He's taking way too much damage. Look at the amount of +1 Marines we have here right now. And down goes that sunken as it hatches. Dude, there's nothing left. There's nothing left. A few more Mutas, and I don't think his control is going to be good enough to clear this. Down goes the natural hatchery. You're not going to win from there against a pro gamer. It's never, ever going to happen. And that's going to be it. Kind of anticlimactic ending here, but GG is called. And that means that we are going to have Ample and Mihu moving up. 815 is eliminated alongside Promise. And yeah, that's it is kind of how I expected the results to be at the end, not necessarily in this order, not necessarily with the types of games we saw either. So an interesting group. I hope that you guys enjoyed Group C here. Definitely shaping up to be a great round of 16. If you have watched this long, I want to really thank you for that. And please make sure you do subscribe, hit that notification button. All the CNSL groups will be casted very quickly. And, well, as they come out, right? Like, the next CNSL group, by the way, is not for a few days afterwards. So I just want to throw that out there. I'm not being lazy. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.